Rejoice, everyone. We're back with another Sekhie Reacts to Fate. It feels like a year, but for you, it's only been a week or two or something like that. This time we're doing, I almost said our next one, William Shakespeare.
Haha, the famed playwright.
I think his works are kind of mid.
To be fair, he probably didn't write most of them. Or so goes one of the common theories about William Shakespeare. As many of you in the audience may know, there are a certain amount of academics who believe that the name William Shakespeare, partially because linguistically we have evidence that like every time he wrote it, it was like slightly different, but a lot of people think that it was a stage name for like another famous author of the time, partially because during the time when Shakespeare's works came out, right, during the time of Queen Elizabeth I, they weren't exactly high-class entertainment, per se. I mean, he was basically a bawdy tavern playwright, essentially, in context. Obviously, now we look on his works like classic literature, but back then, it was all fart jokes and, you know, boobs and dicks.
I guess just as a quick warning for this one might be a...
Yes! Sorry.
She killed it. Just as a little warning for this one might be a little bit shorter than the last few.
Well, first of all, we're only doing one servant this time.
Yeah, but I think of it as a kind of a cool down after the month that was February.
Yeah, I hope you guys all liked Coo and Skahak and Meb and Fergus and Fionn and Dierma.
I mean, as of writing and recording like this entire thing, Coo is doing very well, and I am very impressed.
Coo is doing exceptionally well. I did not expect a video that long to be that popular.
And thanks for all your support, everyone.
Yeah, let us know if you like the longer form videos, if you like the shorter form, if you want me to be more technical in the info I pull from my own brain and anthro, or if you want Knick-Knack to be more technical or something like that.
Explain to me all the stuff that I'm missing.
I do read each and every comment, and I do try to respond to as many as I can, because honestly, I love hearing extra info.
Alright, so Shakespeare, as far as fate, is there some kind of crazy twist on him? No, he was an Elizabethan playwright. They don't even go the full route of maybe he didn't write his plays, to my knowledge.
Well, that's a contested theory. Yeah. I say it's a common theory because for a long time it was a very commonly held theory, but it's not as popular these days. And honestly, the works of Julius Shakespeare... Fuck.
Hint at what comes next. I've almost done that, and Sekhie just did it.
But the works of Shakespeare are pretty much classics, you know, for us. We study them in school. I mean, I'm sure Knick-Knack's read a couple of the plays, but I know for class in particular, I've had to read As You Like It, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, and Julius Caesar, I think. And I don't think I've read any of his other plays on my own, but I have heard a lot of the parts of Tempest from some Librarians episodes about Prospero and Tempest. And I know he's got all the ones about like some of the kings and queens, and I just never really got into those. My mom has this Shakespeare theater, right? It's like this paper, it's like this, almost like a paper dollhouse, basically. You put it up, you put it together, and there's like characters in the galleries, and then you have the stage, and the stage has like 3 tracks, and you have these little paper cutouts and representations of characters from, I've read Midsummer Night's Dream and watched it, but you have characters from Midsummer Night's Dream and another play, and you can like slide them across the stage and kind of stage the different acts and scenes to the backdrop. And as a child, that was literally my Barbie dream house. Like, I would go steal it from Mom's room, like pull it down from the top shelf using a chair and a stool, and like play with it all day, and then put it back up before she got home so I didn't get in trouble.
Look at this trash.
Look.
Alright, so let's look up Shakespeare from... Oh no, I got it right.
No, you're good.
William Shakespeare. Meet Shakespeare. Let's go to his favorite order stuff.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I mean, he's a lot more he. Okay, I've been watching too many TikToks and thirst traps because the first thing that came to my head is he's very daddy. And he's not, is the thing. He's not, right? But, like, TikToks have just...
There goes the daddy.
Why are his eyes pointing in different directions? Why? Oh, I actually like that one with the library behind it. That's really cool. That's a very Florentine outfit.
And here's his big fancy artwork.
Oh, that looks really cool, actually. That does look really cool. You know what he looks like? You remember the guy from... Can you stop kicking that out from under my foot?
No.
He looks like the guy from season 3 of Castlevania.
Yeah,
The old guy.
God, I forget his name right now.
He dresses like him, too.
Yeah, well, I think he predates him by a fair bit. Because Shakespeare's actually been around in Fate for a while. He's in both Fate Apocrypha, and then he's also in the Grand Order stuff. Oh, yeah. It's my Christmas gift to Sekhie.
Yes. So I can...
The Count of... Was it the Count of something?
He called himself the Count of something.
Or was it the, God. They do have that same kind of energy going, though.
Yeah, there's a very particular energy. He'll be in the human section, I think.
The Count of Saint Germain?
Saint Germain, yeah, that was his name. Still want to see if I can find him, but yeah, it was
there. It
Saint Germain, yeah. You guys remember him if you've seen Castlevania. He has it's specifically in his third artwork with the bigger overcoat. That version. Like, he looks like how he looks at times in the show like that. And it's a very particular look, and I actually really enjoy it. I think it looks really cool.
So Shakespeare, if you couldn't tell by this little bottom tick here, is a caster.
I would have... Actually, I could have seen him as, like, a saber.
See, the thing is, unlike a lot of our other servants, Shakespeare was not under any interpretation like he is as a servant in real life. In real life, he was a person. He was Shakespeare, as you know him in history.
Yeah.
No, he's a cat. That's sort of the thing with modern servants as you get more modern. Because there's a lot less mystery around what the source of this particular power or thing they've done or what their weapon is like, because there's less mystery around that, it becomes a little bit more metaphorical upon their achievements in life.
So is it because he's like a wordsmith?
Kinda, yeah. So
I mean, I like that. Oh, it's kind of like the Inkheart rule, right? Like, the characters in Inkheart, the ones who read people out of books, like, they don't have magic per se, but they can read characters out of books and into reality like magic.
Something like that. So the reason he's a caster is because his plays and his trope are interpreted to have created... It's that saying of the bring a story to life.
Oh.
Which was not literal as a person, but as a servant, he's a little bit closer to that.
Oh shit! Okay, so this is really... So, in the Librarians... The main villain for season 2, I think, is Prospero from The Tempest. And one of the things is, Prospero, because of his staff that Shakespeare wrote him, because Prospero was written by Shakespeare, because of that, he can use his staff to literally read life into characters from books. Like, he reads Frankenstein's monster out of a book and into reality. Well, he doesn't read, but he brings him to life, literally. That's what Prospero does in the Librarians when they're fighting him. Like, he brings the actual Alice in Wonderland Red Queen off with their heads, like, to life to chase them with a battle axe.
See, it's nothing quite that spectacular, I don't think.
Well, I didn't expect it to be. That would be pretty fucking OP now, wouldn't it?
Yes, let's be clear here with Shakespeare. Shakespeare is not Coup. He's not fighting Coup. He's not going to beat Coup. If you make him fight Coup, you're an idiot.
So he's not... Oh... I mean, but he's a backline, right? He's support servant.
Yeah.
He's like, Zhuge Liang.
Yes. So,
Wait, were there any other versions of him?
There's some artwork from the anime he's from.
Okay, can I see that?
And then they have some, like, artwork from a version. They have some older artwork that they didn't end up using for anything that I can go scroll down to down here.
I was just curious because
This was he was originally going to look like before.
It won't enlarge. That looks pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, he was originally going to look like that before before they finalized his design.
Okay.
So his abilities, his main ability, the one he's going to be using most often, is called Enchant.
Mm-hmm.
In a traditional Holy Grail war, like the one you see in Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero, it'd be pretty damn useless because he's running support for his master and for his allies. If you don't have another servant to enchant, the master, even enchanted, has a very, very small chance of actually winning the war.
That makes sense.
But when it is used, it's able to empower someone else's physical abilities, as well as it can even make their weapon sharper and more effective.
That makes sense.
Then another ability he has here is his self-preservation. Because he sees himself more as he sees himself as behind the scenes more. So long as his master is safe, he can basically get himself out of any hairy situation pretty much unharmed.
Cowardice is always a valid choice, as Jack Sparrow has said on multiple occasions.
So he's got a couple noble phantasms here. One that he uses in two different ways. The first one's called the Kingsmen. Basically, with the Kingsmen, he's able to use... So this is like his main NP, but made easier to use using less magic, less mana. And it allows him to summon actors who can't really function in combat, but he can use them to behave and become like whoever Shakespeare wants to in the moment.
And that's why it's called the Globe?
Yep. So... As
in the Globe Theatre.
Yeah.
So I've been to the recreation of the Globe Theatre in London. Yeah, I didn't watch a play in the Globe, but we did get to tour it. I watched a different play in a different theater that was put on by the Shakespeare Company. It's pretty fucking cool. They do a lot of interesting things in London's Globe recreation along the lines of, one of the things they try to do is they try to recreate Shakespeare's plays as they would have been put on historically hundreds of years ago. Which is always interesting to watch because, of course, they would have been so different. Because now we treat them like classics, but they weren't classics then, as we've said. It's a really pretty place to be, though. No wonder it burned down a few times, though. Lots of thatch, lots of wood.
So his main noble phantasm is called First Folio. This one is a little bit scarier. So it plays into the guilt of whoever it's used on. It doesn't do any actual damage to them, but it exposes, ridicules, and even twists the trauma of those it affects.
Oof.
The more confident one is in their own abilities, the harsher it'll be on them.
So that would be good against, like, Gil.
It works. So it's effective on servants. It's very effective on servants because a lot of these figures come from myths and history where they did things wrong or where they had low points in their life that they're going to look back on in shame. Because the more shame one feels, the worse this gets. So the only way to truly avoid any of the negative effects from this is to be truly shameless.
Oh, so it doesn't work on Gil. Look, Gil shows no shame.
We haven't quite seen whether or not that'd work yet, actually. That's an interesting idea.
I bet it would work on the older version of Gil, but not the younger version.
Maybe.
Because in the older version, like, he's met Enkidu, but in the younger version he hasn't, and that would be the delineation in that story. I only say Gilgamesh because Gilgamesh is such a self-centered jackass.
The scary part about this NP, though, is that when it's used, it can render a servant basically unable to it basically breaks their minds.
They go and they tear up a hamster stuff in the
curl
corner.
Up into the fetal position.
So they do a tamaki in Oron. They pull a tamaki. Amazing. I mean, look, psychological warfare. There's a reason why I always pick Vicious Mockery.
Let's see if I can. I'm gonna have to go up here. I'm gonna click into it because I know there's a few anime scenes that are in GIF form from when I was doing research earlier. So let's see if I can pull those up here. First Folio. Let's see if it. So this is him using it on Frankenstein. That's from Fate Apocrypha, by the way.
Okay. Who's he using it on?
Frankenstein. You've seen Fran.
Yeah, Fran. Does it work well on her?
Yes.
I would have assumed so. She's so adorable, so precious. We stand Fran.
And in this time, I think he's using it on Jeanne d'Arc in this one? Yes.
Oh, it definitely works on Jeanne d'Arc.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah, it works on Jeanne d'Arc. That's the kind of self-sacrificing...
That said, I don't think we're going to get to see the full scene play out, because that's like a full... Yeah, you can see it, like, cuts there. Like, it basically changes reality around them, or at least in their perception.
Oh, I'm sure we'll see Apocrypha eventually.
Yeah, let me go ahead.
But you are going to show me the Grand Order animation.
Yes. He's a bit of a lower rarity servant, though, so I actually haven't seen this one myself.
Does this have an arcade animation?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Because Shakespeare is definitely not the kind of servant you'd really see in arcade.
Mm-hmm.
FGO, Okay, so I'm gonna have to... Got him better. Actually, this might be outdated. No, it's not outdated. Yeah, it's
They
a
look
pretty...
like Naruto ninjas.
Yeah, like, that's very underplaying, because it's not a real servant you can properly do justice in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think he has an arcade animation.
Ah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do have a few last notes, though. Shakespeare is actually a very scary servant to summon as a master. Like, there are benefits if, for some reason, you're fighting a Holy Grail war where there's more than one servant, or if you're in an FGO type thing. But he will actively work against his master if he thinks it'll make a better story, and he'll really only help those he feels leads to that better story. Like, they're good characters in the story. And one Grail war that he's in, Fate Apocrypha, he's forced by a command spell not to betray his acting master by writing a tragedy for them.
So my dude just, like, summons into being, and he's like, not enough tragedy, time for some character development.
If he feels that's going to be the best story. He might be weak, but he will definitely make any Grail War or any story he's part of play out very differently, and the ability to write a story again is all he wants, so he doesn't even need to win the war, so long as he could see it going to its conclusion.
Man, you know what I want now? I want Fate to release, like, Shakespeare's version of the Grail Wars. Like, I want somebody to write the Grail Wars like Shakespeare and release them for, like, us to like, read.
That would require they release Fate in English.
Look, I feel... Do you know how many people speak English around the world? Like, I feel like Fate is vastly underestimating the amount of money they would make by bringing a lot of their stuff to the English-speaking markets.
So,
right?
side tangent that Sekhie could definitely cut out and make its own video if this goes on for way too long.
No,
Have you seen any of, like, Connor and the Trash Taste Boys, like Connor or Joy, when they go into an anime studio and they ask what that studio thinks of their Western audiences? To them, the Western audiences are pretty secondary. It's only the fact that, like, Crunchyroll and Funimation have reached out and made a lot of effort, or other dubbing and subbing companies have made a lot of effort to get these properties.
See, but you know what? I think that is only to the detriment of these companies, because bringing their stuff to the English market would take relatively little effort, and it provides a massive return. Like, anime fans in English-speaking communities are rabid for material. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why we have such a prolific pirating scene in the manga marketplace. Like, I could name literally 100 sites off the top of my head where I could pirate every single manga that I ever wanted to read, right? And half of them I'd pay to buy a couple volumes of if they were available in paper. Like, sometimes I look like Omniscient Reader, right? I would love to buy a couple volumes of Omniscient Reader in English, and it's just not coming to the American market at the moment.
It's just unfortunate. Like, even the author of Fate, the original Fate, has, like, been on record as saying that he's been on records really underestimating Fate's appeal to foreign markets, and it's like he's only recently sort of come around on that and started throwing around the idea of English localizations, with taking the initiative on those.
Well, look, I mean, the way I look at it, right, we are a tiny YouTube channel. We have 160 subscribers or so. I mean, we've published a couple hundred or so videos, almost 200 now, and I mean, look, our Fate content is generally is genuinely the best content on our channel. We posted Coup 8 days ago. Coup went up 8 days ago, and it's already almost surpassed Artoria. Like, it is genuinely, like, one of the highest viewed videos on our entire channel. We're a tiny channel, you know?
It's very clear there's a market, but it's also very clear there's not a push to get this stuff localized.
And, you know, and I think a lot of the reason why there isn't a push is because a lot of English fans are just so used to the fact that they have to go and pirate and, like, find stuff with, like, fan translations that that's their first response, because they know that it's more likely to find a fan translation than get a localization. And I think, honestly, and this is my last statement on this, but I think, honestly, that these big companies are really missing out. They could make a lot of money off of their English audiences if they just realize that the reason why there isn't a huge push for it is because we've already realized that we need to just pirate it.
I think with Fate in particular, another big reason a lot of it isn't getting localized, because there's just so damn much of it already, that while you can localize a few things, it would be kind of unrealistic and not profitable to localize everything as quickly as possible right now.
Well, true, but they could do, like, a Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, plan for localization in, like, stages and phases.
You would think, but you gotta keep in mind, they haven't even localized the original Fate visual novel, nor any of the material that preceded it in the universe.
I guess. It's just disappointing. I don't know. I go on record right now to express I would purchase a lot of Fate stuff if it was more available in the Western world. I mean, we're going to be reading case files for another series on this channel.
And we have to read a fan translation.
I genuinely would buy English copies of the El Malloy books. I would.
We'll get into that more when we do that review, though. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I guess that was an interesting little... I guess the writer going on writing here is an interesting tangent. Do you have any last thoughts on Shakespeare before we wrap this up?
Honestly, I'm... You know what? I'm somewhat underwhelmed by the fact that there isn't something weird going on, you know? Like, it's almost so normal that it's strange. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I dig it, though.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a chill servant. Yeah.
Julius Caesar next week, guys.
Oh, boy.
Or next time.
Oh, boy.
See ya.